Hey guys, I wanted to talk a little bit about the Ghost Package Leoric build, and I want to kind of just make it easy for everyone. What Ghost Package Leoric is essentially a Ominous Wraith, which reduces the enemy's damage by 50%, as well as Royal Focus, where when you Skeletal Swing, your Wraith Walk increases the damage of your Skeletal Swing, and your Skeletal Swing reduces the cooldown of your Wraith Walk. And so the goal with the Ghost package is to reduces everyone's damage initially and then get a swing which heals you, toss out your W which heals you, and then go for a ghost again. Like I do on a lot of Leoric games, I like to start off in the top lane by not really doing anything major. I like to just hide in the lane, get soak, and tell my team to play safe. This way we get soak in the bottom lane, we get soak in the top lane, and they have 4 people sitting in here not getting soak in one or the other lane. We don't know which yet. They are getting soak in bot lane, but they are missing out on soak top lane. For example, they just missed 1 minion. I got the experience of the minion because I was in this bush, and they just missed 1 more minion. It's small, but in low ranks, it can really add up. Because I've seen games where I've been able to stay top lane and cost the enemies 3 waves of soak before they realized it. Even if they get a kill, what a lot of people don't realize is that at level 1, 1 wave of soak is actually worth 2 kills. So even if you lose 1 or 2 people mid lane, if you can get value up at top, it's pretty huge. Now, don't get me wrong. Some people will get mad at you in low ranks because they'll be like, what are you doing? Why are you just AFK up top? Oh, Leoric's AFK, 0 siege damage, 0 hero damage, blah, 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 blah. So, I never really pick Leoric to win the solo lane. I pick Leoric for the utility he gets at levels 13 and 16 in either build. And I'll talk about it a little bit, but you can see I'm not really too focused on winning the lane here. I'm primarily focused on just keeping up with experience, staying healthy, and avoiding death. Because I don't know where everyone is on the enemy team, and I don't really want to die. Now, the cool part about Leoric is he usually has an escape. Someone dives in on you, you press E, you walk away. E makes you unstoppable, and it also allows you to move 50% faster to get out. So, I've talked about the auto attack build utilizing Spectral Leech and Mithril Mace, and I've also talked about the Ghost package before. So, when should you pick which and why? I almost always go the auto attack build if I'm going against really beefy teams or teams that take really slow fights. Teams that can't really burst me down are teams that I can almost auto attack and kill their entire team with Spectral Leech and Mithril Mace. However, if the team can burst me or the team wants to take fast fights, what you can really do is just reduce all their damage by half, making it effectively a 2.5 versus 5. And if you get really good at reducing their damage at the right times, it's really valuable. So right here, I wanted to back to go to the objective, but instead, I decide that I'm actually going to clear up 1 more wave so they miss all this soak, and then I'm going to back. I tell my team that I'm going to get there a little late, and what I recommend is if you're ever in comms with a team, call out who has first interrupt and second interrupt. So in this case, I backed, but I said we need first interrupt, and I'll have second interrupt. So right here, as long as someone gets the first interrupt, I'll be there so that I can get the second interrupt. And that's a really good comms thing to call on any map where they have channeled objectives that you can interrupt. Right here, I go to zone because I saw people rotating from mid down, and I want to slow them. But Kira is on my team here, so I don't want to stay here too long. Because Leoric, while he can do a decent amount of damage, he's really not that great of a hero in the early game. And doesn't help when you miss all of your abilities. Right here, I could use my E actually to stop that second stun from going off, but I'm fine either way. I do pop my Ashen Renewal, which is the talent that I pick at level 1. I picked this talent because it allows you the most healing during team fights when you really need it. Then I always get Kneel Peasants. It gives me the ability to double soak for my team. And I'll explain the level 7 picks really quickly when we get about to level 7. When you're in a team fight as Leoric, you should have an in and out play style. If you can see, I go in when I have all of my abilities. I'll throw out my Q first to slow people so it's easier to land my Drain Hope. I'll do my Drain Hope, and then while Drain Hope's going, I usually get 1 or 2 auto attacks before using a Wraith Walk to get out. Just so you guys know, this game is with majority Masters and Grandmasters players with a couple diamonds. I believe our team has 2 Grandmasters, and I believe their team has 1 or 2 Grandmasters. But you can see Neil Peasants, how I clear up things rather quickly, and you can use it to double soak lanes if you need to. Level 7. If you are going the Drain package, there are 2 talents you can go. Against high mobility heroes, you go Drain Hope range, so that you can toss out your Entomb, lock someone down, and even if they dash away, you have that extra range. But most of the time what I do is I go Willing Vessel. Increases the amount of healing that you do, so when you Entomb someone, toss a W, and then start reducing everyone's damage, you are healing way more, and you're going to see the effectiveness of this talent later on in this game. When you're clearing lanes, the best thing to do is to try to step up to about here so that you can use your Q on the entire thing. My concern was I didn't want to get thrown by Garrosh, and I didn't want to waste the mana or my E. So it doesn't really matter if I take a little bit longer to clear a lane, as long as I can do it safer. I sit in a bush here just because I want to make sure that I have first interrupt. So again, in comms on this map, I would have said something like, I have first interrupt, we're going to need second. Because with Leoric, you can walk in, use your Q, and then use an E, interrupt once, and get away. But you don't want to be using multiple interrupts on Leoric purely because he's just not a hero that can stay in fights very long. Unless you get, like, you're against a very bruiser-heavy team and you have auto-attack build. I might get flipped here, so I start with my W first, and then I use my Q, because it was very easy to land when he's walking towards me in a straight line, as well as I have my E available in case I needed to get out, which I did use my E to get out. And then back in. Now, I head back up. I immediately tell my team I'm leaving, and as a solo laner, this is kind of your job in the early game, is to make sure that your team doesn't get behind in soak. You can see if we go to experience contributed, the solo laner is making sure that we have full experience contributed the entire game, and we don't want to miss out on anything. At the end of every fight, I want to take a step back, and I want to be like, wait, is there any way I can get more value by not joining my team here? And then I do that. So I tell my team, hey, be careful, we don't want to be taking these fights. And after that, again, miss some abilities. Could really work on Leoric. And again, guys, if you get better at any of the heroes that I'm making videos on, like, you can stomp even more, you know what I mean? My Leoric's win rate tends to be about 55 to 60%. It's not the greatest out of a lot of the heroes that I play, but he is a really good hero to carry with. In fact, in a lot of lower ranks, one of the guys I was coaching, I told him to switch over to the auto attack build, and he legitimately went from silver to platinum just using the auto attack build. If you guys are interested in coaching, feel free to check out NotParadox.com/coaching. And that gives all of that. We give up this objective. I don't even really want to worry about it. Now, when you're using Entomb, you should always look for people who don't have escapes. And unfortunately, one thing that I didn't really account for on this map was the fact that they did have Divine Reckoning and Fanatical Power. So the reason why this is really important is if I Entomb a target, I'm going to be standing still for a while. And whenever I'm standing still, she's going to be getting bonus healing, which is something that I make the mistake of a few times in this. But Entomb for me is still the best ult even then. It's just something that I need to adapt to, and I believe I might lose a couple fights before I adapt to it, and then it adjusts later on in in this game. Not to mention that reducing her damage is actually really important when you do get the package, because if you can reduce her damage, you're in a really good spot because it also reduces her healing. So as long as I can reduce her damage, Uther's healing already isn't very long-term. I just need to make it to where their whole team is not very long-term. Whitemane burns through mana really fast. Uther burns through mana really fast. And they're all very short-term fights. So when I do get the damage reduction package, you're going to notice how valuable it actually is. That was a bad Entomb, so I turned it off immediately because I didn't want to have the Nubrak have to walk a really weird path to get out. Immediately you start channeling because I see that the enemies are too far away to interrupt, and I am able to get the first curse for the team. I also slow the Garrosh. I fire off a W on him. My W does percent health damage, which the great part about percent health damage against Garrosh is that the higher armor that he gets is mostly irrelevant because percent health damage goes through armor. Like I did in a lot of the other situations, right as the fight's kind of over, I immediately look for an area where I can get value. I try to immediately go to a lane where I can get soak for my team, or go to a lane that my team's not going to so I can get some extra siege damage. Early game solo laners should only really join their team for objectives or for major camps like boss or sentinel camps, while late game solo laners by level like 15, 16, because the death timers are so long, you want to be sticking with your team for the most part and only soaking for major talent tiers. So you see I'm doing that a lot on Leoric. I do take a step back because I don't know where the enemies are, and I didn't want to get ganked. You can see that Garrosh was possibly going for a gank as he just showed up here, and he was probably going to start walking down there. This is an interesting fight for us, only because we do see 2 people bot. I will probably just try to entomb, see if I can't get the white main in there, maybe just the Garrosh, and we'll see what we can do. Now, I do toss a W in there, and I body block him into that area, but I don't have the ghost package yet, so there's really no reason for me to try to take anything major. I do want to get the enemy team away from my team for a little bit, so I do kind of use my life to try to get people away. I miss my W again. And like I said earlier, it's a lot easier if you throw your Q first than your W, so as I do, or as I did incorrectly, do as I say, not as I do, right? Because it would be a lot easier to use your Q first and then your W. Be careful when you're about to revive on Leoric, because some people may punish this by following you around, so the second that you revive, you'll get thrown and stunned, and it looked like that's what Garrosh was going to do, and this is actually not a great fight for us initially, but if I remember correctly, it does kind of turn around as I use some abilities and we heal up most of their damage. I fire off an entomb on her. She can get out with really just her E, but this is the white main thing that I was talking about, where it starts off and it's like, it was an okay entomb, but then suddenly the white main can heal everyone up in the entomb indefinitely. I heal up a decent amount on that Garrosh, and then I go in with my E, reducing the damage of a few of their people, specifically the Kira. And once I've reduced the damage, we go back in. This fight's really not looking good for us. Our Illidan's getting low. I mean, the enemies are getting low, and we do have a decent ult from the Lily, but at the same time, it's like we're all running out of mana. I do pop Ashen here just to try to stay alive from the dot applied by Kira. But we really just don't have a lot of guaranteed damage. Li Ming's damage can be blocked, it can be dodged. We have my damage, which can be dodged as well as healed through. So we just couldn't finish off anyone there, and we also just used a lot of like weird stuff on it. Anyways, I do have my level 13 now, so you will be seeing I will be using my Ghost over a lot of the enemy heroes, and I'll show you kind of the order that I like to do things in. In a perfect scenario, you should be firing off an Entomb, a W, and then an E, going over everyone to reduce their damage while you're draining and locking people in Entomb. That's the perfect scenario. But if you're worried about the enemies initially starting a fight with a lot of burst, then I might immediately start with a Wraith Walk, and just to reduce their damage. So again, this was kind of a... I was going for the perfect scenario, and I ended up missing a few of my things. I do get my Drain off, and I do need to go back with the Wraith Walk and start lowering people's damage. I like going for Vala's and for Kira's because reducing their damage can really affect them. Just be careful about Vala because she is very mobile. Great ult from our Lily, able to keep me alive long enough for me to get my W off, and then this is also forcing them to take a bad fight. So they've actually made it to where they've used a lot of their abilities. Unfortunately, we do lose our Li Ming quickly, and our Nubrak is out of mana. So despite the fact that I think I played that pretty well, I stayed pretty healthy, as well as I got some good damage off, and I reduced the damage of their Kira quite a few times. It still didn't work out great. So down here, I decided that I might want to go for the Bruiser if they go for boss, but then I was like, you know what, we could actually fight over boss. So I head back up here, and you'll see kind of the power of reducing their damage really fast. So as this fight goes off, who are the important targets? What do you need to worry about? Firstly, we have this Vala way over here. She's going to be hard to reduce her damage because she's so far from the other three, and we want to reduce the damage of the other three first, right? Because who do we have here? So we have a Garrosh, we have a White Mane, and we have a Kira. We might actually have an Uther sitting there. We have an Uther. Maybe we don't have the White Mane. I'm not sure. So we want to make sure that we reduce the damage of the Kira. We want to make sure that we reduce the damage of the Vala. So what I'm actually going to do here is I'm going to walk in closer to make it to where Vala has to get closer to the enemies, and then I'm going to reduce the damage of all of them. And I might also entomb them in here. We have a Illidan who's sitting in here doing a bunch of damage with Battered Assault, right? So he's going to be melting through them. We have a full health a full mana Anubarak ready to go in as well. I might actually just entomb everyone in here, and we just go for the kill. As long as I can reduce the damage, we can take this fight, even if we were down a hero. So we immediately go in. I want to stand on this point. And we do get stun locked, so we lose the Illidan very early on. I probably should have used my Wraithwalk, but I wanted to get on the point first. Then, dream scenario. I want to get my heal off before I get my E, so I'm gaining life the entire time my E is going off. As I'm doing that, I use my E. I immediately want to reduce the damage of this Vala. Vala's damage is reduced. Now I'm only taking half the damage from Vala. I want to get back in there and reduce the damage of everyone else. And now their Whitemane, their Uther are doing half damage. I want to go back and reduce the damage of the Vala because it only lasts for 4 seconds. And I want to get the most value out of this. Now at the same time, look at my health. I'm getting rather low. My drain's about to end. So I will want to be popping Ocean Renewal during this fight so I don't die. So I go back and I pop Ocean Renewal at the same time as reducing the damage of the Vala again, gaining extra life while my Wraithwalk is still going. Now, I want to end the Wraithwalk while I'm still on all of these heroes because I want to make sure that I am still on the point in case Shiggity needs to get off the point really quick. So I'm going to head right back in there. I'm going to end off, and then I'm going to use a Q. Get some quick damage off. Everyone's damage has been reduced this entire fight. My Ocean Renewal is keeping me up. My W's been keeping me up, as well as this Lily sitting over here doing what she can. And we're getting people low. There's a kill. Right as I realized that my Li Ming showed up and we got 1 kill, which means that we got a reset, I immediately entomb to lock them in. And guess what? We're able to get off another kill. They get greedy for this, and we go for another one. And another one. And another one. Whenever there's someone who has a dash at the end of this, if you don't have abilities that you need to use right away, it's great to spread out in multiple directions so she can't just dash away. If I go up here, she can't dash upward. Shiggity goes down here, she can't dash to this direction, and they're already here, so she can't dash to this direction, which means that this Vala dies no matter which direction she decides to go from. Now, she ends up just getting blown apart. I might head down and get the tribute, and my team can go push because I actually have the least amount of pushing siege damage in this build, while like a Li Ming would have more. So I'm gonna head down and I'm gonna start working on the objective. Looks like our team might also go for a boss here. Level 16, we get Royal Focus, allowing us to reduce the cooldown of our Wraithwalk by using Q, and our Wraithwalk's also gonna increase the damage of our Q. Some people that really fully commit to this build like to go with the Q talent at level 1, so you get a lower cooldown. And that means that you can almost endlessly reduce everyone's damage. It's cool, but you'll have struggles until 16, where Ocean Renewal gets so much value before 16. So it's like, would you rather be scarier after 16? Or would you rather be scarier before 16? And I do use a Entomb there. It's a very low cooldown ability, and I use it primarily so they can't come over and interrupt. Because we see that Garrosh doesn't really have any gap closers, so I really wanted to do that. Was it a misplay? Maybe. But it did block it off for the off chance they got in there. Not only that, but if they did end up bringing in one person to interrupt, it made it to where they couldn't send in more of their team. This should be a relatively free one for us, because we do see 2 people down bot lane. So I don't focus too heavily on chasing with my team because I don't have Entomb to help out with the team anyways. So I grab the thing first, and then I walk in here. I want to slow the people who don't have escapes first, like the Uther, and then I want to get a drain on him, and then possibly get an extra Entomb. So for example, right here, I might get an Entomb onto 1 or 2 people, just so we can decide if we want to go for him. He throws one person out, able to get the Uther out. He takes me and throws me over towards his team, and we do end up losing the Illidan, because, I mean, melee hero against a Garrosh is always rough. But we do get a nice kill. I reduce some of their damage just to try to scare him off a little bit, and then I use my E movement speed to get myself out of there. I personally am not a huge fan of this unless we can get another kill. Because the Vala poking us down is going to be really frustrating. I use a drain and pretty much just walk away. Whenever you use drains, you try to get the most value out of it, but if you're at full health, don't die over getting an extra, like, little bit of damage on a target you can't kill. You see, I did just walk away from the Uther, but it's because I was at full health and he was at full health, and I was like, I'm not going to be able to kill Uther with a W, so it's not really worth spending the time to do. Leoric's damage never is really that big. I mean, I'm sitting up there above, like, Illidan, but I'm barely above the healers. And in this build, you should never really expect high damage. The reason why this build is good is because you're reducing all the enemy heroes' damage in half. So while they have 2 heavy damage dealers during fights, they're not doing even half the damage that they could be doing. When we get to an objective like this and we immediately lose some people, you don't even really want to fight at. I'm just going to use an Entomb to see if I can split their team apart, but in all honesty, I'm going to walk away. I am playing a hero that can suicide to grab things, so there's a chance that I may do it. I don't actually remember this game, but you can suicide to get forts or keeps, and that might be something that I do. I honestly don't remember. I'll lock back in and see. Actually, in this situation, if I remember correctly, I go to take this keep, and then Illidan comes along, and because Illidan's here, we could actually base race. So I should be stopped on this, and I should be going for this. This was a huge misplay by my part. But that's pretty much it. I mean, you saw how this game, we were able to win almost the entire game off of one boss play, which led to another boss play. We won that boss because of some damage reduction and an Ocean Renewal around level 14. Now, they destroy our keep, but because they didn't destroy our fort, our thing is still invincible, which allows us to win this game. And the other great part about Leoric, and we don't even see it this game, but Leoric gets way stronger at level 20 when you get the upgraded Entomb. Could you imagine if we wouldn't have ended that right there when I wasted like 3 whole attacks on this one? But yeah. So we do end up winning that game, and that kind of just shows you the power of this build. It's a pretty simple build, but it gets a lot of value in clustered fights or against teams that want fast fights. Teams that Vala in Q build is going to run out of mana before she gets 2 or 3 Q sets off. So if I can reduce her damage on 1 or 2 Qs, boom, we're already good. Kira, for example, who also can run out of mana pretty early into a fight. And once both of these are out of mana, our team just rolls through them with a manaless hero, as well as a wide variety of blinds to reduce all their manaless damage. So it's just a really strong build against teams that want fast fights. Thank you guys for watching, and feel free to check out any of my other videos. Oh, also, I've been adding heroes that work well with these lately because people tend to be playing with friends. If you want a hero that works really well with Leoric, I like things that combo with Entomb. So whenever you Entomb people, and any abilities that deal a lot of damage to people who get locked into Entomb. So people like Jaina, for example, you can drop an Entomb, and everyone who's in the Entomb will get hit by a Ring of Frost. Purely because you just have to aim it to where the side of the ring is in the Entomb. The Leoric's already going to be locking everyone in there, so you can take 1 CC and turn it into a longer CC, as well as throwing Blizzards, Cone of Colds, Frostbolts, Icy Veins, and all of that into the Entomb, the ring, all of that. You're getting multiple kills. Orphea's pretty good because you can Entomb, lock them in, then use Orphea's ult. Because Entomb lasts for 4 seconds, you can essentially get off 5 of her hits of her ult off during that time. As long as you fire off 1 before the Entomb goes off, that's 5. Even 1 after the Entomb goes off, that's 4. Possibly more if it's at a area where they want to fight. There's a lot of like gimmicky heroes, like you can go Planet Cracker, so you Entomb and then hit people with Planet Cracker. There's a lot of like weird stuff with it, but in general, anything that has AoEs you can follow up Entomb is always good. Outside of that, Leoric can kind of just work into most situations. I like playing him on maps where you don't need to win the solo lane, but instead you're going to be taking a lot of team fights. So I tend to avoid him on maps like Dragonshire and on maps like Brax's Holdout, because you just are mainly having to deal with stuff on your own, and he is easily countered in the solo lane. He's great against Garrosh, and he's okay into other beefy teams, but he's honestly not that much of a % health killer, because he tends to do okay % health damage, but it's really slow and it's only to 1 target. So if they're all beefy, I mean, then again, if they're all beefy, you just go auto attack build and you win. So I guess he is a pretty good one to take out bunch of those. Just be careful about picking them into like Arthas if you're trying to go auto attack build. Anyways, thanks again, guys, for watching, and feel free to check out my other videos.